to the Middle East. There are many Palestinians, even though you say that everything is going to be beautiful, everything is going to be lovely, they're not going to want to go back. There are going to be people who want to go back and feel like that it is their right to do that. You haven't said, will there be any type of repercussions or anything that happens?
We don't think that's going to happen. We think people are going to be very happy, thrilled. A lot of those people that you're talking about are going to end up maybe living there and maybe working there, but it'll be in a different form. We have had tremendous support for this project, and we think the biggest asset of the project is going to bring peace ultimately to the Middle East. All right.
Mr. President, one last question.
Go ahead, behind you. And you've asked enough.
What's up, H Dizzle here, and we're back this week. We're going to talk about King Abdullah from Jordan's visit. He was in town visiting Trump, one of many people, really good people. You know, we're talking about powerful people, rulers from all over the world, coming to pay homage to the king. That's right, our American King Trump. And you know what? King Abdullah, all I heard was, he speaks so well. He speaks so well from people. Those are all the comments. He's so well spoken, which, you know, is kind of insulting, you know, when you think about it. Because he's a king. He's well educated. Of course he's going to speak well, guys. Calm down. So let's take a look at this meeting and how it went and how the press reacted to it.
And a great leader and does a fantastic job in his country. His son, we're lucky enough to have his handsome son with us today, so it's good to see you again.
Trump loves giving compliments. You know, people love it when you give compliments, and Trump always tells you just how handsome you are every time.
We've had some quick discussions just now, and we're going to have some longer discussions after this. And the relationship with Jordan has been very strong, has been with me, and it really has been with the country. But I think I've been closer than other presidents to Jordan and what Jordan represents. And it's an honor to have you and your son with us today. And if you'd like to say a few words, and thank you very much.
Mr. President, thank you very much for having us, and so short after your inauguration, I think just as a testament to what you said is a special relationship between our two countries and the personal relationship of friendship and trust between the two of us.
There you go. People hate to hear that when you hear the special relationship and trust between the countries. They don't realize the rest of the world, a lot of powerful people, absolutely love Trump. And, you know, it's not going away. It's just going to increase because he continues to do great things. So,
Mr. President, I truly believe that with all the challenges that we have in the Middle East, that I finally see somebody that can take us across the finish line to bring stability, peace, and
they hate that.
prosperity
They hate
to
hearing
all of us
that.
in the region. And it is, I think, our collective responsibility in the Middle East to continue to work with you, to support you, to achieve those lofty goals. So I'm very delighted to be here. And as you said, sir, we've got some very interesting discussions ahead of us.
Very good. Very good. Thank you very much.
Mr. President, many people in the region, especially Jordan, are worried about the annexation of the West Bank. Will you give His Majesty the King guarantee that you won't allow Israel to annex the West Bank? And how are you going to
I think that's going to work out very well. That's not really what we're talking about today.
They want these concrete, exact answers from Trump. But you got to understand that he's putting this out there as, you know, a patchwork that he's going to figure out along the way. What he's trying to do is get a coalition going and find out who's on his side. And he's throwing out, you know, this is art of the deal. He's throwing out the big kahuna out there. He's going to try to accomplish that, but if he can't, he's going to get as much of it as he can. So people are trying to get, you know, exact answers from him when he doesn't even have the solution right now. He's working towards it. People need to understand that. Give him some time. It'll all come together, and that's what he's trying to tell them. He kind of skirts around the issue.
I think that's something that's going to work out automatically.
Mr. President, why should the king take in the Palestinian people? He's made clear he doesn't want to.
Well, I don't know, but he may have just something to say because we discussed just briefly.
And you know, there they go, putting words in his mouth that he has made it quite clear, it'll, you know, come out in a little bit that it wasn't quite as clear because Mr. Abdullah is going to take people in today.
One of the things that we can do right away is take 2,000 children that are either cancer children or in very ill state to Jordan as quickly as possible, and then wait for, I think, the Egyptians to present their plan on how we can work with the president to work on Gaza challenges.
There we go already. He's got 2,000 children that he's taken. And what have these other people taken, these press? They haven't helped anybody. They're just starting trouble. That's all that's happening with these people is they're troublemakers.
So you're
I want to tell you, excuse me, wait, just please. I didn't know
Just
that.
yapping
but you
away.
just said 2,000 children with cancer or other problems, and that's really a beautiful gesture. That's really good, and we appreciate it.
But Mr. President, during your election campaign, Mr. President, how is the U.S. going to own Gaza? Your White House has made clear taxpayer dollars won't be used.
There we go again. You know, they keep saying that he's going to own it. He's never said that we're going to own it as America. We're going to come in there as a peacekeeping force. What his plan is, go in there, tear it down, you know. We're going to get companies and you know, people to come in and level it out and get everything to where you can start building. We're going to spend the money. Our part is just to make sure there's no, you know, shenanigans going on. There's no, you know, terrorism. There's no bombing. There's no wars. And then he's going to get all these Arab countries with all sorts of money to come in and put up, you know, their skyscraper. You got to look at it this way. The Arab world is changing now. It's becoming, you know, more open. They're becoming, you know, more concerned about wealth. They care about money more than anything in these countries nowadays. So he's going to bring them in one by one. They're going to be putting up these Burj Khalifa type buildings, you know, these resorts. It's going to be where billionaires live. You got to understand that area, Gaza, is beautiful. It's right on the coastline. So people with a lot of money have plans for this area. And like he says, it's been nothing but trouble for generations. And if you look at it, they were fighting over something that was already resolved decades ago in a war. And, you know, Israel kind of already had that land and they keep fighting for it again. And, you know, it's just not working out for anybody. And finally, somebody has another solution and people just can't handle it.
Used for this. So
No,
what
we
money
won't
are you going to
need
use
it.
to
No,
buy Gaza?
we're not going to buy anything. We're going to have it, and we're going to keep it, and we're going to make sure that there's going to be peace, and there's not going to be any problem, and nobody's going to question it, and we're going to run it very properly, and eventually we'll have economic development at a very large scale, maybe the largest scale on that site. And we'll have lots of good things built there, including hotels and office buildings and housing and other things. And we'll make that site into what it should be. And the people from Gaza who wouldn't be able to be there for years, because you're talking about just to get it and prepare it and to take care of all of the problems that currently it has, as you know, tunnels, and people are in those tunnels.
See, Trump actually understands the situation going on over there because he's a man that understands everything. And there's been fighting and terrorism and just nothing but death and destruction. If you look at, you know, actually what the buildings look over there, it's just what you see after, you know, Syria was demolished, after, you know, a large-scale war. There's nothing. There's nothing. And whatever buildings are left are going to fall down at some point because they're just not structurally sound. You got to see, Trump comes from a building background. He not only knows the business end, but he knows all the permitting. He knows the actual structural things. He deals with architects, builders, he deals with, you know, all the way from when they're pouring the concrete to when they're putting the finishing touches. So he's the right man for the job. People need to understand this.
All right, go ahead.
Mr. President, you were saying that Palestinians will live somewhere else safe. Where exactly do you want them to live?
Well, it's not where I want them to live. It's going to be where we ultimately choose as a group. Yeah, don't forget, they only want to be on the Gaza Strip because they don't know anything else. They never had an alternative. And they don't want to be on the Gaza Strip, but they have no choice. They have to be. And they're being killed there at levels that nobody's ever seen. No place in the world is like as dangerous as the Gaza Strip. They don't want to be there. They have no alternative. When they have an alternative, not one person will want to stay where they are. Nobody wants to stay there. They're living in hell.
See, and nobody goes and asks these people that. They're, coming up with their own judgment. And Trump kind of understands humans. How many people here have, been through a situation where their gas ran out or, electricity went off? Try doing that for a couple days. When there's a freeze, all the power's off, you can't drive. Life is hell. Now imagine death, the smell of rotting flesh, destruction, everything around you is gone. Everybody you know is dead, and you're just wandering around ruins. That's what's going on over there. And, people just don't seem to understand these press and all these other people. They're not the ones living there. They're just, people that are starting problems, basically. And he's trying to find a solution.
It's a death trap.
Mr. President, how do you know that the Palestinians don't want to leave their land? Some people say this is ethnic cleansing. You won't be able to force them to leave their land.
If it's ethnic cleansing, it's already been cleansed. It's over. Whoever's dead is dead. They're not coming back. Whoever's left, they want to move on and have a better life. And there's a lot of history over there and hatred and anger, and it's totally understandable. But the only way you're going to get past that is if you improve your situation, improve your life, and are able to move on. And quite frankly, this is one of the best solutions. People, like he says, people want to keep doing the same thing over and over again. He was elected by us because he does things different. He thinks differently. And a lot of the world leaders probably are in the same situation. None of these countries want to take in a lot of the Palestinians because they're afraid of, the terrorism or whatever could come from taking a lot of these people in. But they have to kind of, go with what the masses are saying. But at the end of the day, you're a leader for a reason because you have a solution that the masses don't understand. Same reason there's billionaires and, multimillionaires in this world. Not everybody's filthy rich or can be because they just don't think different. And this man has a solution that can change everything, improve, millions of lives, 2 million lives, quite frankly. And I think we got to give him a chance.
We're moving them to a beautiful location where they have new homes, where they can live safely, where they'll have doctors and medical and all of those things. And I think it's going to be great. Yes.
Is there a parcel of land in Jordan that you're willing to have Palestinians?
Well,
Is this blinking normal? Does he normally do this? I don't know if he's tired, nervous, or if this is just a regular thing. Somebody comment down here. Let me know.
I think what we said, I have to look at the best interests of my country. I think the president is very happy that we do this thing with 2,000 children as quickly as possible. And again, I believe that the president is looking forward to getting a group of us Arabs here to discuss the overall plan.
See, a lot of these countries that, are for this plan, you got to understand, like Dubai, Abu Dhabi, Saudi Arabia, Jordan. These are all countries that are, getting past the old way of life where they're, covering their head, they're ultra religious. Look at Saudi Arabia when they're doing, all the boxing, they're bringing in all the tourism, Dubai, all these places. They're past that at this point, and they're trying to get past that. They're trying to bring, the rest of the Arab world along, with them, and this is part of it. So you're going to have these countries that have a lot of money that support this plan. Because at the end of the day, it's 2 million people out of, hundreds and hundreds of millions of people they got to look after. So if they can all get together and fix this issue, they're going to have a big plot of land that they can make even more money off and make more, progress. And, the end of the world, this world improves people's lives through money, wealth, and progress. And kind of, that's what this president and these other leaders are looking to do. So it's definitely worth a shot.
Mr. President, does it concern you that moving 2 million people from there?
It's a very small number of people relative to other things that have taken place over the decades and centuries. It's a very small number of people, and they're living a terrible life. Look at the way they're living now. Nobody's living like that in the entire world.
See, again, Trump there, he has a extremely wise and long-term view of everything. Just like this tariff situation right now. People, the press are like, well, what happens in the next 2 weeks? Are you going to see prices of eggs go up for the next month? Trump's always like, why are you even thinking of it that way? Because, sure, you may have a short-term price increase. It may hurt a little bit, but he's trying to solve these enormous problems that were put in by the previous administration. And, part of, fixing things is short-term, problems and pain. Just like if it's at your house, you're about to go bankrupt, what do? You start cutting your expenses. You start, trimming the fat. You're going to have some short-term pain with anything. And the press and the people who are against Trump, they try to pin these tiny little, at the end of the day, like he said, if you look at it through the eyes of history, 2 million people being dispersed across multiple countries and improving their lives, it's not that bad a thing or a difficult thing at the end of the day, if we can all get together, And, if you look at the people of Palestine, like you said, they probably do not want to, be in this type situation. But, if you look at Iran, all those people, they're being held hostage by the mullahs and whoever's in power, these 15, 20 people that have control over the army and the military and the police. And if you look at your average Iranian, they love America. They love everything about America. They hate their own rulers, but they got a gun against their head. And that's what's the greatest thing about America. We get to carry guns. That way, if we ever get into that situation or anything close, we all get together and we take them out. And that's the thing with, people like Hamas. They have a gun to every citizen's head. They're blowing up bombs. They're, have tunnels dug everywhere. It's terror tactics on their own citizens. So for him to, get rid of Hamas and, put everybody in a better situation, they may not understand it, because if you look at a lot of the Palestinian population, they're probably uneducated. They've had years and years and decades of war. Their children don't go to school in a normal way. They're getting uprooted. Their parents are dying. So they rule these kind of people with, religion and fear and all that. So if we can get them to a better place and wipe out the people that are causing these problems, it's going to be better for Israel. It's going to be better for the world. And it's definitely going to be better for the Palestinians because they're going to have an improved quality of life going forth for their children.
They're living under buildings that are mostly fallen down and will continue to fall down. And they're living under. People are being killed every day. The conditions are horrible. There are no conditions anywhere in the world that are worse than the Gaza Strip right now.
But don't
Mr. President, would you still consider withholding aid to those countries if they don't accept your plans to accept?
Well, I don't want to say that because we've had such a good relationship and we're doing so well just in the short time that we've been talking. I mean, the king just made a statement. I didn't ask him to do that, about literally saving 2,000 young children from the Gaza Strip. We didn't know about that. You didn't know about that. Nobody did except for the king and his son. I assume you told your son, right? And I just thought it was great. No, I think we'll do something. I don't have to threaten with money. We contribute a lot of money to Jordan and to Egypt, by the way, a lot, to both. But I don't have to threaten that. I think we're above that. I do believe we're above that. So.
I just love Trump, man. He threatens without threatening while he says he's not threatening. He's like, we're above that, right? But, the man is a diplomat. People say he's rash, he's this, he's that. When you're in there in the room with him in person, he's an absolute diplomat. The man is, commanding of respect. You like him. You feel good around him. And, people can't handle that every world leader comes in, kissing his ass in love with him. And it's true respect. And the man is as humble as can be. That's the best part is He does all this with utmost humility.
And if they don't want to leave, how are you going to force them, Mr. President?
Oh, they're going to be great. They're going to be very happy.
Can you
Your
give us a
Majesty,
sense,
Your
Mr.
Majesty,
President,
should we
may I-
expect that the
may I-
Jordanian response would be part of a
See, whenever he kind of skirts it, oh, they're going to be great. They're going to love it. He doesn't give an actual answer because he quite frankly, you know, he doesn't have a solution at this point. They're still working on it. And that's the part people need to, you know, understand. Give everybody a chance. This is something that has been worked on by people much smarter than us. And I can't stand when the press comes in and they're just trying to stir the pot. That's the worst thing to me is the stirring of the pot.
This should have been done by the Biden administration, but, you know, they didn't do anything. They didn't know what the hell they were doing. So this should have been done by the Biden administration. This should have never happened because October 7th would have never happened. If I were president, zero chance of happening. You would.
Can you imagine, you know, the Biden administration trying to solve this issue? Kamala Harris, she wouldn't have even gone to, you know, Israel. She wouldn't have met with Netanyahu. This would not even be on her radar. Those people would still be suffering, and there'd be no solutions. It would just be war and chaos and a continuation of what's happened. You know, we've seen her in her, was it CBS interview where she was just mumbling and rambling on, whereas Trump's suing him? Do you think that kind of person can solve these kind of issues? I don't.
Wouldn't have had
Not in a million years.
That whole mess where the Middle East got blown up, and you wouldn't have had Ukraine and Russia fighting. That would have never happened.
Remind them, Donald.
And by the
Remind
way, we're
them.
making good progress there, I think. I really think we're making
Progress. That's
some
what
very
it's all
good
about.
progress.
Mr. President,
President,
you've said
your team,
before
are you
that
putting
the
in charge
U.S.
of it?
would buy Gaza, and today you just said we're not going to buy Gaza.
We're not going to have to buy. We're going to have Gaza. We don't have to buy. There's nothing to buy. We will have Gaza.
What does that mean?
No reason to buy. There is nothing to buy. It's Gaza. It's a war-torn area. We're going to take it. We're going to hold it. We're going to cherish it. We're going to get it going eventually.
Who do they think that you pay if you bought Gaza? Who do you pay? Do you start writing checks to everybody out there that's surviving, that's left? Let's not forget, these people are in this situation not because of Trump. They're in it because of Hamas. You know, the rulers that they picked. Or that, you know, really, I don't even know if they picked them. If somebody had a gun to your head and say, vote for me, and all you had was a spoon in your hand, you're going to have to vote for them. So they're blaming the wrong people. They need to start blaming the people that, you know, do press conferences with only their eyes visible and they're wearing, you know, a baklava on their head. That's who they need to be asking these questions to. Why did you do this? Why did you put your people in this situation? How are you going to solve this? This man is doing it on his own accord.
Gaza, the way it is right now, every 10 years you're going to have the same thing happening. I've watched it so long, all the death and destruction of Gaza. The civilization's been wiped out in Gaza. No, it's going to be a tremendous thing.
And don't forget, you know, Trump has a lot of Arab friends. It's not like he hates the people of Palestine because they're Arabs. You know, they just happen to be people in this situation with this ongoing situation. But Trump has a lot of properties, you know, in Arab nations. He's always visiting there. He's good friends with, you know, the people who rule there, who are in power. They respect him. He respects them. So to make it sound like he's after this group of people is just incorrect.
It's fronting on the sea. It's going to be a great economic development job. It's going to put people to work, a lot of people to work. And those people are all going to be from the Middle East.
And just to follow up with one on that for King Abdullah, can you clarify?
You know, if you think about the kind of jobs that the Palestinians currently have, I don't know. I don't know much about the area, but I would think they probably don't even have much of, you know, employment opportunities, etc. What's probably going to happen in that area is they're going to be temporarily displaced. Trump's going to fix everything up, or what he's probably going to do, we're going to take over that area with our military, making it safe and secure for all the contractors to come in, clean it up, you know, put in plumbing, put in sewage. And then after that, basically what's going to happen is you're going to have builders come in from other countries, you know, Arab nations, Israel. You're going to, you know, probably have the property getting sold off piece by piece. Who knows who's going to buy it? But, eventually you're going to have maybe a Hilton or a Marriott or whoever makes the Burj Khalifa. All those companies are going to come in and they're slowly going to, purchase this, build it up. And eventually these people who've been displaced, they're probably going to come in slowly and be hired as waiters, support staff, managers, whatever talents they had at the time. They're going to slowly, if people are capable, they're going to come in and actually be able to make a living that they're proud of.
But the only thing I can say is this is going to bring stability and peace to the Middle East. And ultimately, when it's developed, which will be in quite a while from now, because we want to let things calm down. But when it's developed, it's going to bring tremendous numbers of jobs to the Middle East, including the people of your country.
Now let's say Trump or whoever didn't come in and do this. Who exactly is going to rebuild that area? Let's say Israel says, I'm not touching it. Do you think anybody else is going to come in and help the Palestinians? That place is just going to be rubble. There's going to be disease rampant through that area. There's dogs right now eating the remains of people. And there's people living in rubble with their arms blown off, their legs. There's no medical care. There's nobody there helping them. Nobody. So if Trump didn't do this, who is? Because I don't think anybody else was going to.
Mr. President, one of your promises on the campaign trail is to bring peace to the Middle East. It was a promise to your Arab voters here. The Arab voters in the United States oppose this. What do you say to that?
Well, if you look at Michigan, where we have a large Arab population, as you know, I was just telling the king that.
Wait a second. How does she know that the Arab voters, have rejected this? There's no polls. She hasn't interviewed anybody. She's probably talked to a couple of her friends. And since they're her friends, they're not going to disagree with her. But on a large scale basis, I haven't heard a peep out of anybody. But, we're hearing King Abdullah here from Jordan, the Egypt. We're hearing Saudi Arabia. They all want to work towards this, So unless her friends and whoever the voters are willing to put their money in, their labor, their life, their headache, then they really have no say in this.
We won, as you know, I won the Arab population. Now, when I started off, I wasn't leading, and when I finished, a few months later, we started campaigning in Michigan. And when I finished, we won it by a tremendous amount, by 30 points. So my relationship with the Arab population has been fantastic, and my relationship with the Middle East is very good with all the countries, just about all the countries. Let's see, I would say all the countries. And they all want to do something, and they want to see peace in the Middle East. All the stories you hear about the Middle East not really wanting peace, that they want war, they want this, they want to go a certain place. Let me tell you, those stories are false. They want to have peace. I know.
All right. Well, that kind of sums up the press conference there that we had. And, he's right. People do want peace. And if you take a look at, the kind of people that don't want peace, those are the radicals. Those are the people that have to be flushed out, and that's what this whole campaign was about, bombing that area. There was severe repercussions for the public. Not that they wanted it to, but these, Hamas has dug tunnels. They bring in hostages. They bring in their own people, surround themselves with human shields. Don't forget, they killed 1,200, 1,300 people in Israel. Just waltzed in one day and did it in a horrible way. They started this shit. I don't know. I got problems with my neighbors sometimes. And when they fuck with me, I go nuclear. I go postal. And, I can't blame me. I didn't start it, and that's kind of the situation this is in. So this is a solution somebody's coming up with. I think we got to give them a chance. Let's see what Trump has to say. But that was King Abdullah of Jordan And that was his visit with Trump. Let's be honest, the man is speaking so well, I can't believe it. He speaks amazing in an amazing way. Anyways, we'll be back with another show. This is the New America Show, where Donald Trump takes us to a whole new level as a country. And he's back, baby.